All right, all right. We're going live in 4 minutes, friends. If you've ever wanted to write your book, I'm going to teach you how to write your book in 1 hour. If friends and family have been telling you, you've got to write your book, why haven't you written your book yet? This is where you want to be. Grab an ink pen, mute your phone, tell your friends and family you're finally going to do it. Get them on this webinar with you. It's going to be an epic new year for you. I'm going to make sure of it. Let's do this. All right, we're going to be starting. We're going to be starting here in about 2 minutes, and it's going to be epic, epic, epic. If you've wanted to write a book, your friends and family have been telling you you need to write a book, now's your time. Let's do it. There we go. All right, all right. Well, it's an epic day, friends. It's an epic day, and I'm going to help you write your book. That's right. It's gotten a little cold. We've come through Thanksgiving and Christmas. It's wintertime around the country in many parts of the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever part of the world you're watching from. I am so glad you're here. I'm your host, Michael D. Butler. I'm a global book publisher. I've been helping people write their books and publish their books for about 7 years now, and it's been a phenomenal journey. I just want to say it's been epic. And we're going into 2024. A lot of people have got New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions. What are your New Year's resolutions? But first of all, I would love to know where you're watching from. Pop it in the chat. Let me know what platform you're watching from. I'm a global book publisher, Michael D. Butler. And if you've been following me for a little while, you know I'm so passionate about helping people get their stories out to the world. We've published almost 800 titles by authors in 64 nations in the last 7 years, and it's been a fun run. Fiction books, nonfiction books, books in every genre. And the question is, how long have you been writing your book. How long have you been trying to write your book? And what do you want your book to do for you? How long have you been trying to write your book? And how long have you been trying to write it? So, Waleed, good to see you. Las Vegas from LinkedIn. Great to have you here with us. People watching all over the world. 85% of Americans want to write a book. Only 15% ever do. And in this webinar, I'm going to teach you, based on my best-selling book, Book Idea to Bestseller in 30 Days, what I've been teaching people for years, pre-pandemic. During the pandemic, I helped so many people write their book, get their book published and out to the world. How do you want your book to change your life? Is it this course is going to take 1 hour. I'm going to teach you how to write a book in 1 hour, but here's the numbers. 4 to 5 million new titles each year in the US alone with ISBN numbers. That's an international standard book number. And globally, about 10 million new books published every year in the world. Now, I want you to look at these numbers because we're going to define who your reader is, what you want your book to do for you. Go ahead and pop it into the chat. What do you want your book to do for you? And how long have you been trying to write your book? But look at these numbers. 140 million Americans have listened to an audiobook in the last year. Hardcovers are up 20% each year. There are 20,000 bookstores in the U.S. In spite of the fact that 20,000 bookstores have gone out of business in the last 7 years, there's still 20,000 bookstores waiting to carry your book. And libraries are still the #1 buyers of books. So we are excited about the future, the possibility. And when you look at other forms of marketing and advertising, I mean, you could go out and buy billboards, you could get on TV and radio, all these things you could do, or you could publish your book. And that is one of the most economical, cost-effective ways to reach the mass market is through publishing a book. Here's the book that brought us out of the dark ages, that brought us into the Renaissance. This is the Bible that rode off the Gutenberg press in the 1500s and revolutionized humanity. So we've published nearly 800 books in the last 6.5 years, authors in 64 nations. We've ghostwritten 167 books. I've been blessed to speak all over the world, to support our authors in 30 countries, to speak in 18 of those countries, and our authors have spoken on 6 continents. But it was a book written by an 11-year-old boy that changed my life when I was 11. I stuttered as a kid from 5 to 11, about 5 to 10, then about 11, I started overcoming the speech impediment, primarily because my teacher, my librarian at the school, saw me struggling, and she gave me a book written by an 11-year-old kid. That's right. I don't remember the kid's name. I don't remember the title of the book. I just remember there was a picture of a sailboat on the front of the book. And that book taught me to dream. It taught me to have imagination. It taught me to overcome fear. And it taught me to launch out into the deep. So I'm going to encourage you to launch out into the deep this year with your book. I host live global events in person and virtually. And my goal is to help as many authors to get their story out to the world and on stages as possible. Most proud of my 4 sons and my 2 grandsons. And it's going to be an epic 2024. We've planted a lot of seeds, and 30% of the net proceeds from Beyond Publishing goes to our nonprofit to rescue kids from human trafficking. We currently take care of 394 girls on a daily basis in 5 safe houses in Pakistan and in Oklahoma, with a full-time staff of 25, ages 6 to 17. We feed 40,000 meals a month, and it's just been exciting. I've made multiple trips to Pakistan and taken my board members to Asia to support the work over there and to inspect the work and see what we're doing. So question is, and pop it into chat, why do you want to write a book? Maybe your friends and family have been telling you for years you need to write a book. And the question is, why do you want to write a book? Is it to get more credibility? Is it to get on more stages? Is it to get more speaking gigs? What do you want your book to do for you? Maybe to get on a TED stage, maybe to ink a movie deal, maybe to get more referrals and more referral partners. Here's an amazing stat. Writing a book boosts revenue 380% for consultants, 219% for public speakers, and 194% for real estate agents. That's amazing. And that's from the Publishing Institute. So the return on investment, the ROI for writing and publishing a book, it's epic. It's huge. I don't think you could track these numbers this high in traditional marketing and advertising of television, radio, print media, newspaper. I don't think even online digital is not going to give you that kind of a return on investment for your investment of writing and publishing a book. Waleed, I agree. Becoming an authority in your field, and yours is marketing, becoming an authority, that book does that. It makes you the expert in your space, and it makes you the authority. So meeting planners, when meeting planners are looking to put people on stage, they are looking for somebody that's written a book. They're looking for somebody that's published. They're looking for somebody that is seen as the default, de facto expert because you've written and published a book on it. So if the news media, or even if a podcast, and a lot of podcasters are getting more eyeballs and ears than traditional media, right? In any market around the world, you'd much rather be on a podcast because your viewership is greater than it would be on traditional media. You're 68% more likely, you're 68% more likely to get booked onto stage or as a speaker that does not have a book. So start leveraging your book going into 2024. So some of the reasons that I started writing books, some of the reasons that our authors have stated for writing books and in the industry overall is to educate and inform, to motivate and inspire, to entertain, to persuade, or just to write a memoir and get it off your bucket list. And that's okay too. What is your reason to write the book? How are you leveraging your book? You know, one of the greatest reasons to write and publish your book is for the personal growth factor. Now, I always feature the travel, the freedom of lifestyle, the ability to do business anywhere in the world. And it does become your magic carpet. It does kind of roll out the red carpet for you. We've had clients on national TV. We've had clients on CNN, Fox News, Dr. Phil, national TV in Albania, the Houston Chronicle, the San Francisco Chronicle, you name it, USA Today, Entrepreneur Magazine. The list goes on and on, Inc. 500 Magazine, Fast Company, you name it, we've been in it. And it's all because of the book that establishes credibility. But I really love the personal growth factor. And I love how the book gets you on more stages and you meet people that become your joint venture partners. Now, I love this, that when it comes to writing a book, and I think this is the reason a lot of people get stuck in trying to write and finish their book, is you ask them, how long have you been writing your book? And it's like, I've been working on my book for 10 years. I've been working on my book for 18 years. Talked to a lady recently. She says 26 years she's been working on her book and it's still not done. And I grew up on the farm, and my dad taught me and my brother how to chop firewood. And I really relate to what President Abe Lincoln said. If I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And I totally agree. I'm going to sharpen your axe right now and ask you, who is your reader? What do you want them to do? How do you grab attention very, very fast? It's so important in this noisy world that you know how to grab your reader's attention quickly, know where your reader's at, know what action you want them to take, because writing your book is a lot like shoveling horse manure. Now you might say, Michael, how is writing a book like shoveling horse manure? But I got to tell you, I grew up on the farm, and when Dad said we're going to grow a 1-acre garden, you know, everybody's excited about the delicious fruits and vegetables, but nobody wants to shovel horse manure, right? Here's what they want. They want these beautiful watermelons and cantaloupes and strawberries and all these things, but these don't come unless you shovel horse manure. And when it comes to writing your book, you're going to shovel a lot of horse manure. But the problem is, the people that are taking 16 years to finish their book, they think the world wants to hear about their trauma. And let me tell you, the world doesn't have the bandwidth for your trauma because they've got enough of their own trauma they're dealing with. They want to know, how can you get me out of my trauma? How can you help me? So I'm going to tell you, as you're writing your book, and maybe you've processed a lot of your trauma through writing, and that's great because writing is very cathartic. It's better than therapy. But listen, memoirs don't sell. And if you're writing your memoir to be heard, people don't have the bandwidth to listen to that. So what you want to do is you want to share your how-to story, what you learned going through the process of the trauma, because you can't grow an organic garden unless you have sunlight and water. And if you stay in the dirt, if you stay in the horse minutia and the horse manure, we're never going to bring these organic fruits and vegetables to the world. I'm going to help you get past your pain and trauma, help you get into the sunshine of what you became, who you became on the other side of your trauma. Fair enough? Let's do it. So 10 years ago, I decided I needed to run a marathon. I had put it on my bucket list, and I was moving, and I was going through a list I had made like a decade before, and I was 39 and a half. I just had my birthday in May, and I said, I was going to run a marathon by the time I'm 40. I'm going to be 40 in 6 months. And that day I was overweight. I was a couch potato. I wasn't running or working out. And I go outside and I run a block, and I'm out of shape. I'm out of breath. The next day, I think I'm having a bad day. I go out and try to do it again, and I run a block and 2 mailboxes, and I have to call 911, I think. I go back home and I Google running shoes, and I buy a new pair of running shoes, and then I see an ad for a running group in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I lived, to run the Route 66 marathon. And I got to say, running is something I hate, Caroline, but it has become my best friend. I'm training for my next ultra on my birthday in May this coming year. I did an ultra this past May on my birthday, and I got to say, running has become my friend. Zig Ziglar said, I remember the day that I went from hating running to loving running. And I'm almost there. I haven't quite got there where I love it. I had to do 9 miles yesterday. I'm like, I got to get out there and do it because it was getting late and dark. And I had a bunch of meetings in the morning. I'm like, I got to get my 9 miles in today because you're in training mode. Well, you know what? I crossed the finish line on November the 16th, 2008, and all 4 of my sons stepped out of the spectator area and ran the last 3 miles with me. And one thing that made that so meaningful to me was 6 months earlier, the reason I was virtually guaranteed I was going to complete my goal of completing a marathon by age 40 was I made it public. That day I went on social media and said, in 6 months, I'm going to run my first marathon, and I'm going to complete it and do 26.2 miles. And the second thing I did is I joined that running group. And that running group gave me the accountability to hold me accountable on the Saturday mornings when it's 5 a.m. and it's 20 degrees outside. And I didn't feel like getting out of bed, but I knew if I was going to complete my goal, I needed to go do my long runs with my teammates. And so there's my mom. My dad was there. My children cheering me on and making it happen. So what I want you to do today, it's December 30th, is say, listen, March 30th, I'm going to complete my book, launch my book. You're going to put it on social media today and say, hey, I found a publisher. I'm going to release my book. And you say, Mike, I don't even know what the name of my book is. But you know what? That's okay. I'm going to help you figure it out. I'm going to help you figure out how to launch your book. And I'm going to teach you how to write it in 1 hour. We're going to do it right now. And we're going to launch it and start pre-selling it and release it on March the 30th. Did you know March is the greatest month to release your book? That's exactly right. Now, I was speaking in Orlando, Florida in 2005, and we go outside because somebody said, hey, at Cape Canaveral over here on Cocoa Beach, they're about to launch a space shuttle. So we go outside, and sure enough, look up into the sky, and you can see the trail. It's 45 minutes away, but you can see that trail of smoke coming across the sky as the space shuttle hurls into the stratosphere. Now, here's the amazing thing. It takes 80% of the space shuttle's fuel to get it into orbit. With the remaining 20%, it can circle the Earth 22 times. Everybody wants the result of having a book, but few people want to make the commitment to do the laps, to do the time, to set the alarm clock, to get up early, to do the training. And that's what writing a book is. It's hard work. It's shoveling horse manure. But I'm going to help you get into the stratosphere with your brand. Is that a good idea? This year, I'm going to be your coach. I'm going to make a difference with you. You've been saying you're going to do it. You've got clients right now, but you could triple your business in 3 years if you had a book and you understand how to package properly. That's what I'm going to teach you how to do it, because 76% of books in English are bought and read outside the US. That's right. Americans don't read. It's really sad that 85% of college grads never buy or read another book after college. Something about those $300 textbooks, Dr. Julie, is you can relate to in the UCLA bookstore there. Something about those $300 textbooks that says, I'm done buying books, but it's sad. But if you're writing a book and you're writing it for your sorority, your fraternity, your college friends, your church group, or your civic groups, or your neighborhood, you're probably writing for the wrong group. You need to write it for people that don't live in the US. And that's going to help a lot to understand that 87% of your readers also understand this. They're women. Men aren't buying books. Men aren't reading books for the most part. It's primarily women, and it's primarily understanding they are reading fiction. So if you're writing a nonfiction book, that's great, but realize your target's smaller, and you've got to decide, how do I connect with people that are already reading books that I'm writing in the same genre? What podcast is my future reader listening to? What shows are they subscribing to? I told you a little bit about during the pandemic, I helped 68 people write their book. I helped 58 of them publish their book, and just went through 8 weeks of great epic training that I'm giving you right now that I've distilled down into 1 hour. So let's go. We've only got 40 minutes left. Write at the same time each day. Write in the same location each day. I know you're writing this, you're screenshotting this. I'm actually going to give you the replay because I'm recording. The amount of words does not matter. It's the consistency is what's key here. Just like going to the gym every day, the hardest part is just getting there, right? That is the hardest part, is just to get there. But you start training your body, you start releasing the endorphins, you actually start looking forward to and getting excited. So when you sit down, my time is 5 a.m. every morning. That's when I write. Sometimes I write just one sentence. Sometimes I write just one page. Sometimes I just write one word. Sometimes I write 10 pages. So that's my creative time, is 5 a.m. I sit there, I listen after I've had my meditation time, and I just look inside and say, okay, what am I working on? I've got my writing projects in front of me, and then I'll get the inspiration for one or more of my writing projects, maybe a paragraph over here and 2 pages on this one. Same time every day, releases the endorphins, causes the creativity. It gives your creativity. And I'm more naturally creative than some people. Some people aren't more naturally creative. They're more organizational, and they're more other side of their brain. That's okay. This gives yourself space to become and permission to become creative, because consistency is key. Visualize your reader in your mind and your heart. So really, we're going to drill down today and figure out who your demographic is, so you can pinpoint and write a laser-focused book that's going to solve a problem for your reader. Now, here's something at the holidays. I always say, be wary of feedback from family, because as well-intentioned as they can be, they know how to push your buttons. They know how to hurt you. They know how to cause you to get angry. Or maybe that's the fire that motivates you. So you want to get their feedback because they're going to piss you off, basically, and then you're going to go show them what you did. But treat your writing as a timeless classic. You don't want to tie it into American culture. You don't want to tie it into 2023, because things are always changing. And if people are reading it in Asia or South Africa or South America, the culture and the context are going to be different. Unless you're publishing a book about current American culture, I would not recommend tying it into your book. Use evergreen examples and illustrations that are globally known and understood. And finally, I'm going to give you a bonus on this next slide about using ChatGPT. This kind of took over the world by storm in March of 2023. Artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, is it going to take everybody's jobs, write the books, do the news for us, and we're all going to be subject to its whims? And I say no. I say ChatGPT is not going to replace authors. It can definitely enhance authorship if you do it in the right way. And what I'm going to teach you is use ChatGPT for research and marketing. I ask ChatGPT questions every day about projects I'm working on, to getting feedback, to marketing data, to analytical data. to help write marketing copy and content, organizing table of contents, making chapters more engaging, writing the back of the book copy, writing press releases and social media, creating synopsis for my children's books, for example. I've been intending to do a children's book series for a long period of time, and I asked it recently. Hey, I'm looking for a book series for 8 to 11-year-olds on the topics of courage, kindness, faith, and paying it forward and things like that. And it just spit me out 8 synopses with full character discoveries and telling me what illustrations to use. And it gave me the names of the characters and their background. It was just phenomenal that in about 30 seconds, it spit all that out for me. And then I could change it if I want, or I could just go through and basically adapt it to my own and say, I kind of like this, but I'm going to change this up and make her say this. And it was just phenomenal. So if you haven't played with Chat GPT, I would say you're a little behind the curve. Get started now. It's here to stay, and it's an addition to, it's not a replacement of you as an author. And I would say use it and get feedback, and the free version is just as good as the $20 a month version. What is the anatomy of a book sale? Why does somebody buy a book? People buy a book because it solves a problem or it entertains them, okay? And so the first thing, you've got to have a killer cover. You've got to have an awesome cover that really speaks to what's inside the book. Now, these are 3 fiction books, and they don't really tell you what's on the inside of the book. So it's a little more ambiguous about what's inside, but it's really about the author's personality. She's a mergers and acquisition business coach and consultant that buys and sells companies and trains Fortune 500 companies on how to scale, sell, and merge their company. So she decided to write a series of fiction books around each aspect of selling, scaling, and merging a company. And so the first thing people are going to look at is they're going to look at the front cover. They're going to turn it over, read the back cover synopsis, and then they're going to look at the table of contents. Now, if they see a specific chapter in there that really relates to them, that says the checklist to sell your business, or how to fund your next startup, or how to exit easily and escape the day-to-day of your business. If they see a chapter in there like that, then you got them. What is in it for me? That's what the potential book buyer is looking for, is what's in it for me. And if you always think about what's in it for the reader, you're going to sell a lot of books. Or if you're just writing a book to get it off your bucket list, that's fine too. If you're just writing a memoir for your grandkids so they can know what you were like when you're gone, that's fine too, but you're not really going to sell many copies. So you're always thinking about what's in it for the reader. What value am I giving? Is your reader over or under 40? What are they reading right now? What podcast are they listening to right now? And what events are they attending right now? You can find all this out, and I'm going to show you how. What action do you want them to take? Do you want them to tell your friends and family about your book? Do you want them to leave you an Amazon review? Do you want them to go to your website and sign up for your coaching program or your next free webinar? What action do you want them to take? This is something you want to think about. And you want to think about pre-selling your book before it ever goes live. This is very important, and this is something that we're very good at with almost 1,000 books launched, is pre-selling your book. Pre-selling it 3 to 6 months before it's live is optimal. Now, a lot of authors don't really think about this until it's time to launch, and they haven't given a lot of thought to marketing. But the importance of pre-selling your book before it launches means you can recoup a lot of the investment that it took you to pay editors and cover designers and to do everything that you need to do to get the book launched properly. Now, you need to talk to your publisher, because not every publisher can pre-sell your book. Not every publisher can pre-sell your hardcover. And I would be happy to give you a free consult, and I'm going to show you in a minute how you can get on our calendar to do that, to pre-sell your book. Now, one of the things that was very popular during the pandemic that I teach in my course and I teach in my book, Book Idea to Bestseller, and in my my course called Credibility Book, How to Write a Book in 1 Hour, is module 5. And in module 5, I teach people how to write a chapter in 20 minutes. See, most people's brains don't think like this, but when you know exactly what it is you want your book to do, I'll give you an example. Let's say you're a real estate agent in the Midwest and you're fairly new at selling houses and you're competing. Let's say you're in Omaha, Nebraska, and you're competing with 150 other agents that have been selling real estate longer than you. How do you stand out and make a difference? Well, number one is you decide, I'm launching a book in 2024. This is going to help me stand out when I go to networking groups, when I go to chamber events. People are going to want to hire me because. And you're going to write a book, and each chapter of the book is going to answer one of the frequently asked questions that you get when a new customer calls you. One of the frequently asked questions that a lot of real estate agents get is, what does my credit score need to be to qualify for a mortgage? So if you can write a chapter that answers a question that a potential book reader would be asking, they'll buy the book. Even if they don't know your name, they have never met you, they don't know who you are, they'll spend $25 on a book to learn how to improve their credit in 60 days so that they can be in the position to obtain a mortgage for a house. So would that be helpful for a real estate agent in any market to help their customers improve their credit score in 60 days? It absolutely would, right? And then also it becomes a lead funnel for you, because now you have customers that have purchased your book. They're buying something from you. But more importantly than that, they're going to turn around and become your customers in the next 60 or 90 days, because you're going to show them in this chapter of the book how to improve their credit score in 60 days. So the way this would work is basically a chapter that says, improve your credit score 30 points in 60 days. You would make a statement and you would say, in this chapter, I'm going to show you how to improve your credit score 30 points in 60 days. And then credibility piece would be, you would quote one of the credit bureaus or a source like a Fair Isaacs or Experian or TransUnion, and you would say, let me give you the argument, devil's advocate, because it didn't have to be in order. Some would say it's not acceptable time frame to improve your credit score by 30 points in 60 days because my uncle tried it and he got black-hatted and it took him 3 years to buy a house. Well, a lot of people used to think that, but according to Experian, here's the latest news and data from this study, and you would quote that. You would be dealing with the argument, which is playing devil's advocate and taking the other side of the issue if somebody were arguing that, and then you would be giving an explanation of how to overcome that. And then you would be given an illustration of taking a young married couple that just graduated college that has, $50,000 to $100,000 in student loan debt, and you're saying, some people say they might not be ready for it because they're too debt heavy, and even though they have a 2-income household, and then you're going to compare them to maybe a couple in their mid-50s that's a little closer to retirement that's purchasing their second home as an investment home or a vacation home, and you're going to talk about them. So you're going to apply it. You're going to use an illustration there. You're going to have statement, credibility, explanation. In this chapter, I'm going to show you how to improve your credit score 30 points within 60 days. And then you're going to play the devil's advocate, give the illustration. Then on the call to action, instead of saying, hey, go to Credit Karma right now, or go to one of the bureaus and run your credit report, you're going to send them to your website. You're going to send them to buyyourhomewithbobandsusie.com, because you want to capture their information. You don't want to be sending everybody to everybody else's website. You want to get their email. You want to get their information. So you're going to have a QR code in this chapter or a website link that says Bob and Susie, buywithbobandsusie.com/mortgage or credit report. And they're going to be able to fill out, hey, do you think maybe you're not quite ready to buy the house because your credit's not where it should be? And you're going to have them fill out the form, capture their information, and then you can call them and talk to them, or they can come into your office and meet with you personally. So that's how you write a chapter in 20 minutes. This is based on my best-selling book, Finding the Speaker's Edge, turning your part-time passion into your full-time speaking career, speaking from stage and speaking online. This is how I do it. I've been teaching people how to speak for 30 years and given 3,000 paid speaking gigs myself, both in the faith community, the nonprofit community, and in the corporate space and the entrepreneurial community. Is you can literally write a speech in 20 minutes and you can write a chapter in 20 minutes with this same formula. It works anywhere. It's very topical. It's very much showcasing your expertise and your knowledge on your subject, and it attracts people because as people see you in this chapter, and this is a chapter you can feature on your blog, you can do a Facebook Live with it, you can share it on a webinar, and then when you're done sharing that content about how to prove your credit score 60 points in 30 days, say this is part of a book, and then you give them the pre-sale link to the book that says, hey, I've got 12 other chapters in this book that'll help you become a first-time home buyer. Here's some other things to consider in each of these other chapters, and that's just one of them on how to improve your credit. So you finally written your book, you've done your table of contents, and you know what the cover is going to be. You know what how to hook them with the cover and the title and the subtitle, and you've put in your content on the back of the book, and you've organized your table of contents effectively and strategically, and all of your chapters are done with clear calls to action on what you want them to do, and you're ready to find a publisher. So your options now are you can self-publish. That's where you do everything yourself, or you can go through a traditional publisher in New York, and I'll tell you about that, or you can find a hybrid publisher. Those are your main three opportunities. Traditional publishing is when you have 2 million followers online and your name is Oprah or Joel Osteen, and they offer you a publishing deal, but you don't own the rights. You make only 7 to 15% of the royalties. You have no say over what the final cover and the interior look like, and you give up the rights to the content. You can never repurpose content from what you've written. The publishing company owns it. And forget it if you get a movie deal. The publisher makes all the money, and the rights from the movie deal they own, you don't own. So that's traditional publishing. It's not the best for most people, but you do get global distribution. Now with self-publishing, you do everything yourself. You find an editor, you hire an editor, you make sure they edit it properly. You're hiring a cover designer, you're coming up with a title, subtitle yourself. You're basically doing everything yourself. The downside is you're not getting global distribution. You're only getting distribution on Amazon, and Amazon is only 50% of the world's book sales, okay? And now you're bringing it to market more quickly than you would with traditional publishing, but you're not getting global distribution. And even though you're making 100% of the royalties, the average self-published author never sells more than 200 books. So this is not the best for most people. Hybrid publishing is a marriage of the two. It's where you own the rights. We bring you to market soon. You make the lion's share of the royalties. You have full control. You're going to invest with a hybrid publisher about the same as you are as self-publishing, because you're going to spend thousands self-publishing, doing everything yourself, and watching a lot of YouTube videos late at night, trying to do everything from EPUB conversion to Amazon bestseller and all that yourself. Whereas you would invest about as much going with a hybrid publisher that can get you into libraries and bookstores. With self-publishing, you can't get into libraries and bookstores. With hybrid publishing, you get global distribution, and the #1 buyers of books in the world is still libraries. So that's hybrid publishing. That's what that looks like. That's what we do, and we can certainly talk to you about that. So this is so important. Title, subtitle, and cover. There's over 4 million books in the U.S. that were published in 2023. There will be 4 to 5 million books in 2024. How will you stand out? How will you compete? How will you get people to buy your book? And these are all things. How will you hook your buyer? How will you find your buyer? How do you write a movie trailer chapter? These are the kind of things that we're going to help you with, how to write a movie trailer chapter. Now, if you were to go to any hybrid publisher in America, this is about ballpark what you would pay and what you would pay with us. Now, I'm about to offer you something very special as a New Year's promotion, but your publishing investment typically would be about $8,300 to do everything. And the reason I say about $8,300 is that last item which is editing, can vary based on word count. At 3 cents a word on a professional line edit, you're going to pay about $500 if your book's 30,000 words. And if it's 100,000 words, you're going to be paying $1,500. But all of these things, to do them yourself, interior design, book cover design, copyright registration, ISBN assignment, Library of Congress, all these things, Amazon Look Inside feature on Barnes & Noble, on Amazon and other sites, the EPUB conversion so that people can read your book on 100% of the world's e-readers and computers and devices and mobile devices, so important. And that your book gets properly submitted, not just to Amazon, but barnesandnoble.com, bookshop.org, Books A Million, Chapters Up in Canada, Rakuten, formerly eBay. Everywhere books are sold that people can buy your book, and there's hundreds of sites. We put your book up there, your hardcover, your paperback, your ebook. We put your audio book on iTunes, ACX, and Audible. Guarantee you an Amazon bestseller. We make that happen. We do the professional edit within a week. The total value is $8,300, and we're giving you some extra stuff that you get as well. We're doing your first media interview, $2,500 value. We're introducing you to our podcast network. We have Debbie Adams on the call. She's a retired senior citizen, and she just did 13 podcast interviews based on her second faith book. Just by being introduced to our podcast network, she's done 13 interviews, and she did not have any media interviews before we interviewed her and introduced her to our podcast network. Our author Facebook group has now grown to 1,800 authors in our Facebook group. That's a $500 value where you can ask any question 24/7 and be a part of annual events in the U.S. and beyond. I give you access to our book writing course that's helped hundreds of people write their own book, where we do a deep dive and a video on each of these. And then you're part of our weekly mastermind that meets every Wednesday to answer your question and deal with what's going on, to get into more bookstores, to get library distribution. How do you market your audiobook? How do you get book signings? How do you get speaking gigs with your book? All these things. We have different experts on, from PR experts and artificial intelligence experts, very valuable. And a 1-hour coaching call with me, which is worth $750. The total value is $14,149, and we're offering it for a one-time $49.97. Saves you almost $10,000, and you pay the $49.97 today, or 2 payments of $27.5. And since it's the New Year, since it's the holiday, we're going to extend this through New Year's Day. At $11.59 is when it's going to end, and it'll go back to retail price, and maybe even a little higher based on what my board and I decide, because they were asking for a 4% increase in 2024. It'll probably go up. The regular price will probably go up on January 2nd. We've got to have our board meeting on the 2nd. But right now you can do it today through January 1st, $49.97, or 2 payments of $27.50. We get your book up and selling, pre-selling. We get your cover up first thing within the first week, pre-selling everywhere. And you can jump on my calendar right here and get your free book consult. Just scan the QR code, or you can text me at 918-955-3227, or go to the URL getpublished.beyondpublishing.net, or just scan the QR code. And we're going to be real busy the next couple days because it's the new year, it's the holiday, and tomorrow's Sunday, and then it's the first day, January 1st. But go ahead and text me today. Jump on the calendar, scan the QR code. Look forward to helping you get your book out to the world. Let's do it. Now's the time that the world hear your story. And the question is, if not now, when? If not you, who? Now's the time. Let's do it together.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, Global Book Publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
All right. So glad you're here with us today. Hey, listen, would love to involve you here. Would love to get your book out to the world. Now's the time to take action. Go ahead and message me if you've got any questions. pop them into the chat, pop them into the text me at 918-955-3227, or pop them into the chat. Happy to answer those questions. I'm going to be around till the top of the hour playing some music and doing some work here. But thanks for watching today, wherever you're at in the world. It is Saturday, and the world is going into 2024. And now's the time to bring your story to the world. Glad you've been watching. Thanks very much. Michael D. Butler, Beyond Publishing, global book publisher, and founder of 1040impact.org. Have a great year. Happy New Year, and look forward to working with you. Have a great day.
Changing lives in New York and NASDAQ and beyond. Michael D. Butler, global book publisher. We're ending human trafficking at 1040impact.org.
Happy New Year, friends. God bless you.